Welcome to the British Online School, where today we're going to be discussing education and motivation. To do so, we are pleased to welcome Jessen James. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure and honor.
Jessen James is an investor, author, motivational speaker, TV personality, coach, 7-time award-winning speaker, and can boast that over the last 18 months, he has generated over $100 million or pounds in sales for his clients. Jessen, I don't know really where to begin with you, except to ask, what is it that you do? What would you class yourself as?
Do you know, that's an interesting question. What is it that I do? I think it's something my dad still asks me. Still, when are you going to get a real job? I suppose I'm a facilitator of change. If I had to kind of summarize it, I'm a facilitator of change. And what that essentially means is I support people in their personal, professional, and financial lives to facilitate change, to go from where they are right now, which might not be where they want to be, to a place where they feel happy and fulfilled. And I'm very grateful and blessed to be able to do that in various formats, whether that's speaking on stages all across the world or virtually, like doing Zoom sessions like this, or being invited to be a incredible podcast like this.
Oh, thank you very much. So how does someone get into that then? Like, were you born into a family filled with sort of all this enthusiasm and motivation, or is it something you discovered yourself?
Great question. No, absolutely not. I'm actually the only entrepreneur in my family. I was born and bred in East London. I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. Unfortunately, mum and dad, they came from Mauritius when they came to this country with a suitcase and probably like 50 quid in their pockets. And they worked hard. They did what they could to provide for us. We never went without food. We had a roof over our heads, but we lived in a very small, humble terraced home. And my parents gave me what they could afford, and I remember distinctly at 7 years old going into school, being bullied for the way that I looked, my clothes. I was wearing secondhand clothes. I was wearing cheap trainers. And it wasn't nice. I mean, it's not nice at any age, but when you're 7 years old and you're trying to seek meaning and stuff and wondering why are people being so mean, it's hard. So what I didn't realize at the time, what it did for me was create a desire to want more, because I didn't quite understand why everybody else is wearing Reeboks and Nike Air Max and all this stuff, and I'm wearing cheap stuff, and I couldn't understand why my parents couldn't afford it. And I resented them for a while because I thought, why can't you do it? And but what I realized is that I needed to do it myself at some point. And I started my first business when I was 11 years old, selling fireworks in the playground, which didn't go down very well. Yeah, I was just fascinated with entrepreneurship, and I have ever since. I did lots of little things whilst I was in school, and then 24 years old, I actually I qualified from university as a psychiatric nurse. I'm actually a psychiatric nurse by trade. That's my background. And I decided before I go into employment, I'm going to try and launch a business, because I love entrepreneurship. So I did. I launched a company. Unfortunately, that failed. I made a massive minus £65,000 in 3 months, which which hurts at any age. But when you're 24 years old, fresh out of university, already in debt, I think it's safe to say it hurts it a little bit more. And I just thought, I might as well go into work. So I did. I worked in the private sector as a nurse. I climbed the ranks real quick there. I became the youngest ward manager in the UK at 27 years old. And I was given sales targets by my employer because it's private healthcare. So I made my employer £6.5 million in 2 years, which was great, selling beds for them. And then tail end of the recession, July 2009, they told me that they don't need me anymore. And just like that, my job was taken away from me. So I don't know if any of your listeners can remember a time where they felt betrayed or let down or stabbed in the back. It's how I felt, because I gave all my all to this company. But it made me realize something, and hopefully your listeners can benefit from that lesson. And that is, nothing in life is secure unless you secure it yourself. You've got to take responsibility for everything that happens to you. And I gave my boss permission to fire me the day I signed an employment contract. It's one of the terms, right? It's my last 2 hands, So anyway, cut story short, I decided to not work for anyone ever again. I decided to use what I already know, which is healthcare. I launched my own private healthcare company back in December 2009. Wasn't easy to get going. I don't want anyone listening thinking it's it was a walk in the park. It was really hard. But to cut a long story short, that business made me financially free at the age of 31. and a millionaire 2 years later, which isn't bad for a nurse who got fired. And I'm very grateful and blessed to have gone on to create lots of different things. I've built, bought and sold multiple companies, from hair and beauty salons to online stores to property to training companies to, I've got a fragrance brand now, I've got a perfume company. I do lots of great things, but my biggest passion and blessing is to be able to go out and help people, because money, cars, house, all that kind of stuff, they make you happy, but they don't create fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from giving back and helping others. And I'm very grateful that now, I retrained as a speaker in 2015, and I've gone on to now be on stages all across the world in different countries, sharing the platforms with some incredible speakers, people who I used to watch on stage myself, people like Deepak Chopra and Robin Sharma and all these incredible people. And, it's just been a blessing and to be able to touch the lives of thousands of people globally. And that's essentially why I live now. It's really my thing. It's my passion. I think I've really found it.
That's great to hear, because actually my question was going to be following up to that is, if you made all that money, then why do you carry on doing so much? But you've just answered it. So is it that sort of fulfillment then that you sort of strive for every day?
Yeah, look, I think, and we see it day in, day out. Every person listening to this must have seen at some point a celebrity or a wealthy person go off and do charity work, for example, open an orphanage, adopt some kids, go and travel the world, helping, foreign aid, all that kind of stuff. Why do they do that? It's not because they're lacking happiness, it's because they're lacking fulfillment. There's something missing. And I think you've got to understand that if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you just make money and you sit there, then what's going to happen? Like, honestly, like for me, it's not about money. Like, it's literally, people think I'm crazy. It's not about money. For me, money is a byproduct of the number of people you help. And my mum told me two things about money when I was growing up. Number one, when someone meets you in the street, they're not going to ask you how much money you got in the bank. They're going to ask you, how are you? How's your family? Number two, when you leave this world, they're not going to bury you with it. So, so yes, money's important, 110%. A lot of people say to me, hey, Jessen, but money doesn't buy you happiness. And I say, well, poverty doesn't buy you anything. But what does poverty buy you? More stress, more worry, more anxiety. I think money's an incredible tool. Money has no emotion. We're the ones who attach emotions to it. Money's a beautiful tool. It can enhance your own life, but enhance other people's lives. And, yes, I use money, to live a nice life, but I also use money in lots of different ways. I give to charity, I help other people, I donate to families in need right here in the UK. But I also use my funds to cover my lifestyle, so I can go and speak, I can go and train, I can go and mentor people, often for free. So it's about fulfillment. It's not just about money.
Yeah, but I was obviously looking through a bunch of stuff you've done, and one of the quotes that came across yours, which I may have come from what your mum said, by it, because it says, you come into this world crying and the world rejoices, but yet you leave the world and the world starts crying and you rejoice. Is that where that's come from then, from listening to your mum? I'm sorry if I've
I
as well.
Yeah. I actually heard that quote. I heard that quote myself somewhere. I can't remember where I heard it. I heard it once myself, and it's true. Like, my mum's always, like, be honest with you, my mum's my mum and my dad didn't teach me good money beliefs. And I think a lot of us have inherited money patterns and blueprints from our parents, such as don't go into debt, don't spend too much, save your money, all this kind of stuff. And she didn't teach me great money beliefs, but one thing she did teach me was to be humble and be a good human being and help other people. And for me, yes, when you enter this world, you cry and the world rejoices. Live your life in a way that when you leave this world, the world cries and you rejoice. And I think that a lot of us, unfortunately, we're living in a world where we're surrounded by people who are unfortunately not living their best life. They're living their lives according to other people. They're working in jobs they don't like. They're in relationships that don't light them up. There's lots of things like that we could do to just live our best lives. And sadly, if you get to your deathbed and you're about to check out, it's too late then. Like, it literally is. So I often say to people, look, just ask yourself this question. If you were given 24 hours to live right now, could you honestly say you've lived? And if the answer is no, what are you doing? Do something different, because tomorrow's promised to no one. I mean, look, we're living in a world where someone went to bed last night with the best intentions of waking up this morning and didn't. We did. Every day is a freaking blessing, man. Like, you wake up in the morning, you're good. I don't care what challenging you're going through or what problems you're going through, you're good. If you've opened your eyes, say thank you, get up and face the day, whatever it's going to bring, but just strive for greatness every single day.
I love that sort of thinking. And you're quite a forward thinker as well, because you keep on answering questions I'm about to ask. Because my question is going to be, what is the one thing you'd recommend to anyone who wants to sort of change their journey and become more like you or head in your direction? And obviously you've just answered that. Do something different, make that change, which is great. Yeah. So what's next for you then? Obviously you're living this great life at the moment, all these speeches, you've got to go off and do a speech on stage straight after this. What's next for you then? What's your next goal?
Do you know what? It's interesting. I mean, I used to say world domination, but but no. I've literally, just before jumping on with you, I just had a call with my agent. So some of you might know, some of your listeners may know, I was actually on a TV show, Rich House, Poor House, on Channel 5 here in the UK, twice actually on the show. And as a result of that, the producers wanted me to go off and do more TV work. And I never really looked at it like this, other than after the show, the impact it had, in the sense that, you know, it's not so much how many followers I got and all this jazz, but, you know, the first episode got like over 3 million views, and that's 3 million people who heard my message, who heard what I was saying, who watched me, you know, coach and mentor the lady whose house I swapped with, and has helped her now, you know, start her own business and turn her life around. And it got me thinking that, you know what, yes, I speak on stages all over the world to share my message and hopefully help people. Yes, I'm on social media and I've got tens of thousands, if not millions of views on videos and all that kind of stuff, but nothing beats mainstream TV, like nothing, like literally. So the producers approached me and said, look, do you want to do more TV? We're going to set you up an agent. So I've got an agent now. I've got an audition, but a meeting with Channel 4 coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're just going to see where it goes. And I think in terms of what's my next move, whilst I'm not planning on, you know, being you know, the biggest media TV personality out there, I just see media as another way for me to get my message out there, to be able to help more people. You know, that's essentially what I'm doing. That's my mission. You know, that's all I want to do. I literally want to create this wave and ripple effect, but it's not about me. I just want people to understand, who's listening, it's not about me. Yes, obviously helping others gives me a deeper sense of meaning and significance and importance. Of course, I think all of us want to feel important, but it's the ripple effect. I can't do it on my own. If I pour into you, if I pour into somebody else, hopefully they'll pour that into somebody else and somebody else and somebody else, and that's how we create change. It's not about me. I can't do it on my own. You know, I run a Facebook group called Billion Lives Changed, which I launched during lockdown, you know, in the UK, like right at the beginning of lockdown, March 2020. I just knew people were going to struggle. And the one thing you've got to understand is when you feel like you're losing everything else, losing money, losing your job, losing your house, losing your relationship, one thing you should never lose is your mind. Do not lose your mind, because that will just take you out of the game. So I thought, what could I do? I'll just use my background in psychiatric nursing, my background in NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, to help people. And I've been going live in that group every single morning for 15 minutes with motivation, inspiration, tips on how to handle depression, anxiety, stress, worry, how to better your life, how to do better things. And it's just grown. It's grown from like 100 people to over 7,000 people now, who tune in and stuff and things like that. And I don't charge for that. That's just, you know, me. But I also understand I can't do it on my own. So by pouring into these people in the group, they go off and pour into their families and their kids. Like, we've got children whose lives have changed just because I poured something into them. So it's the ripple effect, man. You know, that I suppose that's that. When I joke about world domination, but when I say world domination, is in helping everyone around the world get better equipped, have better resources, because we can't keep pointing fingers at people. We can't keep blaming the economy, blaming the government, blaming everyone. You know, that puts us into a sense of helplessness. If we take responsibility, it puts us back in the driving seat, and now we can start to take charge of our own lives. So I just want to help people have better resources. That's my next step.
I think that's a fantastic way to live your life and use your sort of money and stature in such a fantastic way. It's really nice to hear. So,
Thank you.
with all that in mind, then everything you're doing, all the people you're helping, I'm going to ask you a question now. And even though we're a school, we like honesty. So if it didn't, do say. But do you believe your school education helped you to become the success you are now?
Honestly, I think basic education, obviously literacy, maths, things like that. I don't think the entire system helped me, because I think it teaches dependence rather than independence. And what I mean by that is it teaches you to get a good education and go and work for somebody else. It doesn't teach you to work for yourself, or be the person who employs others. And it's not just about learning skills such as maths, English, and things like that, but life skills. I think are missing in school. How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with anxiety? And most children growing up model their parents on how they deal with stress, so they don't talk about that in school. They don't talk about money management in school. Like most people get out of university and are in debt. They don't teach any of this stuff. So yes, partly I think it's contributed, clearly, because we all need a basic education, of course. However, is it our number one reason? I don't think so. But one thing I did benefit from in school is experience. I experienced pain, I experienced hardship, I experienced bullying, I experienced people being mean, and I think for you to experience pleasure, you have to experience pain. For you to experience happiness, you have to experience unhappiness. So all of those things that happened to me in school, for me, have shaped me, because it made me not want to have other people suffer. It's made me not want to see other people go through pain and hardship, because I've been through it myself. So yeah, I'd say partly from an education perspective, yes, but a lot of the experiences I went through in the schooling system have helped me to become who I am today.
Nice. And that's such a good message to send out to anyone who's going through a hard time at school right now. Just sort of ride the wave and learn from it. That's really, really nice.
100%.
So you mentioned a few things there. What do you think is the one big thing that should be taught in schools, in your personal opinion, then?
Personal development, mindset, working on yourself, being more resourceful. Like people need to understand this. I was actually interviewed recently, and somebody said to me, what's the one thing you would tell business owners? What's the biggest strategy you can give business owners to make money right now? Blah, blah, blah. And it's not a strategy. It's not about this is how you do this and you'll make money. It's not that. The number one tip I gave to everybody was be the guardian of your mind. And unfortunately, as an adult, we're carrying all of this stuff from childhood that we didn't quite understand right then, but now we're processing it as an adult. You see, like, for example, we all have memories growing up of things that bad things that might have happened to us, like bullying or abuse, or something happened to us when we were growing up. And as a child, you're not quite sure why that happened. You're trying to seek meaning, but you don't know, because you're a child. So the memory of that, as you get older, changes. And what do I mean by that is, when I look back at something now as an adult that happened to me when I was a kid, I'm putting that through the filters of an adult, not a kid. So my memory of that is wrong. It's based on emotion now, like going, oh my God, did that really happen to me? Oh, why did they do that? I'm talking like an adult now. So the memory is wrong. But that memory, because it's been amplified by my emotions now, affects my future. So there's a saying in life, heal the boy, you'll heal the man. And I think if we can, rather than try and heal the inner child in us as adults, if we can go back to that place, like primary intervention, not tertiary. If we can go to primary intervention and teach in schools how to deal with stress, how to deal with anxiety, how to manage your money, how to deal with your emotions, how to process your emotions, how to work on yourself, how to be more resilient, more resourceful, how to stop pointing fingers at people, how to take responsibility. I think we wouldn't have half the problems we have right now. And they are our next generation. We've got to be mindful of that. And it worries me sometimes when I see some of these teenagers on the street now, and like they're just drinking, smashing stuff up, I don't know, and they're just misguided. And I'm thinking, gosh, is this the future of Britain? Like, what the hell's going on? And it's sad, but they're not to blame. They're not to blame. It's how they've been raised and the resources that they were given when they were a child. So I think looking back on it, knowing what we know now, I never say never. I'd love to be a catalyst of change in that, but I'd love to see, and I'd love to pioneer perhaps, sharing this stuff in schools and getting more schools on board with it and make it mandatory that they learn these things.
Well, I'm really glad you said that, because that's what we do here. A couple of hours a week, our students either have one-to-one sessions and group sessions where we do talk about our mental health and what they can do to change that. So regular exercise, their diet, and the positive motivational speaking. Now, if you wanted to come on board with that with us, I mean, we're more than happy to talk with you even more than that, because we currently have a teacher doing it, but we won't say no if you wanted to come along and help shape that a little
by
bit.
all means, Danny, is there anything I can contribute to your mission and what you guys are doing? So I don't want paying, I don't want any of that jazz. If there's anything I can do to support, what you guys are doing, because it's something that I believe deeply in, then by all means, yes, I'd love to contribute and help in any way I can.
Oh, fantastic. I will reach out to you after this. Now, I could speak to you for ages. You're just, I don't know if you know, I've just been smiling the whole time. It's a constant positive attitude, but you have told me, obviously, you've got to run for you're due on stage soon. So I'm going to move on to our final two questions that I ask everyone. The first one being, what is your fondest memory from your days at school?
It's interesting because again, as an adult, you look back and you start to reflect, like, well, when I was growing up, what made me happy? What did make me happy? And being that kid who was bullied and all that kind of stuff, or whatever it might be, you obviously seek happiness and fulfillment in other ways. And for me, one of my fondest memories growing up was actually 7 years old. I remember going to school, seeing a boy. There was a boy there who had he was one of those outcasted kids. He was like disheveled. No one spoke to him, and he always played on his own, and no one really spoke to him. And I still don't know till this day how it happened, but this kid used to come to school with no food, no sandwiches, no nothing. I don't know how did it even happen. I don't know how he didn't get school dinners. I don't know what happened, but my mum always used to give me packed lunch. So I remember at 7 years old seeing him with no food and giving him my sandwiches every day, and because I knew I'd get fed when I went home. Like, we didn't have a lot, but I knew I'd never run out of food. We always had food in the house. And so I used to go home hungry, but not say anything to mum because I was worried I'd get in trouble for giving away my food. So I did this for a few weeks until I couldn't take it anymore. I went home one day and I said to mum, I'm starving. She said, what happened to your lunch? Because I didn't tell her. I thought I'd get in trouble. And I told her what I was doing. And I did get in trouble, but for the wrong reasons. I got in trouble for not telling her sooner because she started sending double sandwiches every day, and what makes a 7-year-old do that? And when I look back at it, it's fulfillment of helping somebody else, and I think that's been in me ever since. So it is one of my fondest memories to date, because I'm processing it as an adult and I'm realizing, wow, like that was like I was going through crap at school, but in that moment of helping somebody else, I didn't feel pain anymore. And I think we can all learn from that, is that, like, if you're feeling down right now, go and help someone less fortunate than you. Like, go and feed someone on the street. It will make you grounded and humble and think, you know what, if I haven't got half the problems this person's got, and B, it will just light you up. It will just release, like, chemically, it releases oxytocin in your body. It's a feel good hormone. It'll feel great. So I remember doing that, and that, I honestly, to date, that's my fondest memory growing up.
Oh, what a fantastic memory. And then our last question, maybe the most important question. If you could pass on one bit of advice to any student, whether they're just starting in school or ready to leave, what would that one piece of advice be?
Don't feel obliged to do what everybody else tells you to. Now, clearly, listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, of course. I'm not trying to say be a rebel. What I'm saying is don't feel like the pressure of having to conform to the normal way of doing things. Like, the normal way of doing things is go to school, get an education, get A levels, pass your GCSEs, get A levels, go to university, get a degree, and then go and work. Then you got to get married at this age, and then you got to have a house by this age, and you must have kids by this age, and you must do. Look, most people haven't figured their stuff out till they're 50. Warren Buffett didn't figure his stuff out till he didn't become a billionaire till he was in his 50s. Like, why do we need to have this pressure of this timeline? And I think all I would say is live your life. My biggest tip on happiness is, if it doesn't make you happy, stop it. Plain and simple. That's it. Let's not complicate it. So don't feel pressure. Do what feels right for you. You have a voice. You talk things through, communicate your needs, tell people what you want, what you don't want, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, know your values. And most importantly, when you go off into this big bad world, know your self-worth, because people will try and trample all over you. People will try and put you down. People will try and put their needs before them. And look, they're not doing anything bad. They're just trying to meet their own needs. But you need to know your needs. You need to know your values, know your standards, know what you're willing to accept, what you're not willing to accept, and just go out there and live your best life, because you only get one shot at it.
Brilliant. Perfect advice. Right, before we let you go, if anyone wants to follow you on social media, join any of the groups, or just see generally what you're up to, where can they find you?
Brilliant. Yeah. So best place probably to follow me is on Instagram at Jessen James _official. If you go to at Jessen James _official, you'll find me on Instagram. And in terms of somewhere, if you want to get more advice, tips, strategies for free, nothing to pay or anything like that. Like I said, I've got a private Facebook community called Billion Lives Changed. If you search for that on Facebook, you'll see it, Billion Lives Changed, and you'll see like hundreds of videos in there of me, previous videos with tips on motivation, stress management, how to manage yourself, how to improve your income, your finances, all that kind of stuff. But also we've got an incredible community there that support each other through hard times, and it's definitely a place for you to hang out if you just want to be around like-minded people who inspire you every day.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. I felt like we could have talked for hours.
Pleasure. Maybe I'll come back again. Who knows?
We'd love it. And we look forward to working with you again soon. But thank you so much for your time today. And yes, it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching our podcast today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to make sure you never miss out on the new ones we post every Monday and Wednesday. If you are interested in enrolling yourself or someone else into the British Online School, be sure to visit our website, britishonlineschool.co.uk, or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and send us a direct message there as well. Just use the handle @BritOnlineSchool, spelled SCH, and you can find all our links below. Have a fantastic day, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.